Unit 5 Civil Rights Vocabulary List. Civil rights, the rights that each person has in a society. Society, people in general living together in communities. Duty, something you must do because the law requires it. Guarantee, to make a promise with great confidence. Violation, the act of doing something that is not allowed by law. Discrimination, the practice of unfairly treating a person differently. Repression, the act of using force to control someone or something. Restraints, rules which limit what people can do. Trial, the examination of evidence in court by a judge and a jury to decide if somebody is guilty or not. Deny, to say that something is not true, to refuse to admit or accept something. Legislation, a law passed by a parliament or a government. Guilty, someone who is responsible for a crime, having done something illegal. Principle, rule or belief that influences your actions. Election, the process of choosing a person for a position by voting. Acquire, to gain or get something by your own efforts, ability, or behavior. Obtain, to get something, especially by making an effort, attain. Citizen, a person who lives in a particular country. Political, connected with the state or the government. Equality, the state of having the same rights, social status, etc. Opportunity, chance. Participate, to take part in or become involved in an activity. Concept, an idea or a principle that is connected with an abstract. Inherently, natural, basic, or permanent part of somebody or something. Perhaps, possibly, maybe. Fair, treating people in a way that does not favor some over others. Facility, buildings, services, equipment, etc., that are provided for a particular purpose. Complex, establishment. Essential, extremely important, vital, necessary. Component, one of several parts of which something is made. Ingredient, prevented from, stopped from. Mandatory, required by law or rule, forced, obligatory. Liberty, freedom to live or speak freely. Attempt, to try to do something. Characteristic, a special quality that makes a person or a thing different from others. Dead, not alive, lifeless. Artificial, not natural or real, fake. Obligations, something you must do because of a rule, promise, etc. Standards, a level of quality that is considered acceptable. Responsibility, a duty or task you are required or expected to do. Basic, relating to the most important part of something. Avoid, to stay away from something or somebody. Exercise B. Match these words with their meanings. Vote, a formal choice you take in an election. Guarantee, to give an assurance that something will be done right. Violation, an action that breaks a law, an agreement, or a principle. Discrimination, the practice of treating someone less fairly than others. Repression, using force to control a group of people and restrict their freedom. Restraints, rules which limit what people can do. Trial, A legal process to decide if somebody is guilty or not. Deny, to say that something is not true. Legislation, a law or set of laws. Reading. Simply speaking, human rights are the rights which one acquires by being alive, while civil rights are the rights that one obtains by being a legal member of a certain political life. In other words, civil rights are the rights of citizens to political and social freedom and equality. They guarantee equal social opportunities and equal protection under the law, regardless of race, religion, or other personal characteristics. Civil and political rights are a class of rights that protect individuals' freedom from violation by governments, social organizations, and private individuals. They ensure one's right to participate in the civil and political life of society and the state without discrimination or repression. Unlike other rights concepts, such as human rights or natural rights, in which people acquire rights inherently, perhaps from God or nature, civil rights must be given and guaranteed by the power of the state. Examples of civil rights include the right to vote, the right to a fair trial, the right to the government services, the right to a public education, and the right to use public facilities. Civil rights are an essential component of democracy. When individuals are prevented from participating in political society, their civil rights are being denied. In contrast to civil liberties, which are freedoms that are secured by placing restraints on government, civil rights are secured by positive government action, often in the form of legislation. Civil rights laws attempt to guarantee full and equal citizenship for people who have traditionally been discriminated against on the basis of some group characteristic. Exercise A. Choose the most appropriate completion A, B, or C. Human rights are guaranteed to each individual in society during lifetime. In comparison with civil rights, human rights are acquired by nature. The right to use public facilities is an example of a civil right. It's illegal to prevent people from participating in political life. Legislations are formed by the government to assure that people enjoy their civil rights. Exercise B. Find words in the text which have the opposite meaning to the following words. Opposite means antonyms. Number 1. Dead, alive. Artificial, inherent, natural. Unjust, fair. Allowed, prevented. Admitted, denied. Negative, positive. Exercise C. Fill in the gaps with words from the box to complete the following paragraph. The right to education includes a responsibility to provide basic education for individuals who have not completed primary education from the school and college levels. In addition to this access to education necessities, the right to education includes the obligations of the students to avoid discrimination at all levels of educational system, to set minimum standards of education and to improve its quality. Vocabulary. Law idioms. Replace the underlined phrases in the sentences with the correct form of one of the law idioms in this list. Beat around the bush. An act of God. Break the law. Assemble the case. Buy the book. You should speak directly and ask for a raise. Don't hesitate in getting to the point. You should speak directly and ask for a raise. Don't beat around the bush. The insurance company refused to pay the money because they said that the forest fire was the will of God. The insurance company refused to pay the money because they said that the forest fire was an act of God. The lawyers were unable to collect data against the man. The lawyers were unable to assemble the case against the man. The man was forced to quit his job after it was discovered that he had acted against the law. The man was forced to quit his job after it was discovered that he had broken the law. Our lawyer is very good and he does everything exactly as the rules say. Our lawyer is very good and he does everything by the book. Pronunciation. In this segment, we are going to be familiar with the speech production and how different organs in our bodies work together to produce different sounds. The main articulators in every speech sound are the following: the tongue, the upper lip, the lower lip, the upper teeth, the alveolar ridge, the hard palate, the soft palate, the uvula, the pharynx, and the glottis, or the vocal cords, which we are going to tackle here in this exercise. The vocal cords are the small membrane that vibrate while producing the voiced sounds. You can feel the difference between the voiced and voiceless sounds by putting your hand on your throat or your Adam's apple when you produce the sounds s, z. So when you produce s, no vibration. When you produce z, there's vibration in the vocal folds. Voicing is a state of the glottis, which refers to what the vocal cords are doing. We have voiceless when the vocal cords are not vibrating, so the air passes through the open vocal cords without any vibration, like the sound p. However, in the voiced, we have vibration in the vocal cords, so we have voiced sounds. The air flows through the vibrating vocal cords, like the sounds b, z, and others. Here are the sounds that are voiceless sounds. Here, on the other hand, we have the voiced sounds. Now back to the book. Page number 57. Voiced and voiceless sounds. Voicing. All sounds are either voiced or voiceless. Voiced sounds are those that make our vocal cords vibrate when they are produced, like z. Voiceless sounds are those that do not make our vocal cords vibrate when they are produced, like s. For example, bet. The sound b is voiced because it makes the vocal cords vibrate, while pet, the sound p is voiceless because the air goes through the vocal cords without any vibration. Here we have the list and examples of each of the voiceless sounds. On the other hand, we have a list and examples for each of the voiced sounds. Note, all vowels are also voiced. The vowels are A, E, I, O, U. Now to the exercise. Classify the final sound on each word in the list in the table as voiced or voiceless. Mistake, k, voiceless. Answer, r, is voiced. Laugh, f, is voiceless. Sick, k, is also voiceless. Show is a vowel, so it's voiced. Run, n, voiced. Sing, g, voiced. Ash, voiceless. Young, voiced, ng. Path, voiceless. And judge, voiced. To the grammar. Relative clauses. Read the sentences A to 5 and complete the rules below. A drill is a tool which is used to make a hole in something. Mobile phones are phones that you can carry around in your pocket. The man who worked in a printing company visited me last night. The woman whose car was stolen called the police. Latakia, where I spent my last holiday, is a wonderful city. Relative clauses tell you which thing, person, or place we are talking about. What a thing, person, or place is or does. So we use which or that for things. We use who or also that for people. We use where for places and whose for possession. The exercise B. Which words in the box do the definitions below describe? Complete them with the correct relative pronoun. A photocopier is a machine which makes copies of documents. A bodyguard is a person who protects important people from being attacked. A laundrette is a place with washing machines where you can wash your clothes. A plumber is a person whose job is to mend central heating, taps, water pipes, etc. A vacuum cleaner is a machine which you can use to clean floors and carpets. Listening.
Listen and complete the following dialogue.
So, what were you like when you were younger?
When I was a kid, I was kind of irresponsible.
You? Really? What made you change?
Graduating from high school.
What do you mean?
Well, until I graduated, I'd never had any important responsibilities. I knew nothing about my duties and rights, but then I went off to college.
I know what you mean. I was really immature when I was a teenager.
So, what made you change?
I think I became more mature after I got my first job and moved away from home. Once I had a job, I became totally independent and aware of everything.
Where did you work?
I worked for my dad at the clinic.
And this is the end of Unit 5 in the student's book.